Today, the neoliberal governments are not working for us. They never did, and they were waiting for the opportunity to get a bunch of Republicans in there to just destroy the whole concept of we the people. And in Puerto Rico reflects even more because we are a colony, and they really have no regard for the colonial situation.
You know, I think that that's going to be key for us in the United States, even though our folks here are at a very low level in terms of political education. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about the base building. You know,
that's the work that is necessary, but not a lot of people want to do.
Yes, that's right.
That's the work that costs a lot. You have to every day, like a little ant, be doing that work with this consistent necessary that in some point you will see the results, but results with solid results. We started doing that work not when Governor Fortuño arrived at the Puerto Rico government. We have been doing that work since the last years of the University of Puerto Rico. For example, in 2005, we realized a strike of 1 month against precisely an amount in a 30% of the tuition cost. There was a strike that wasn't support. There wasn't support from a lot of sectors. La diferencia, the difference from this one. But that process give to a lot of us. In that time, I was starting at the student movement. The experience participating in that process and participating in the process of the t-shirts in 2008, I can say that all or almost all of the leadership of the actual student movement participated in those two processes. Those two processes were very important because give us the experiences, the tools, the will, and to see concrete examples that it is possible if you do how you call the base building work, to in a moment when the crisis explodes, you can have the people to fight against and resist the policies that have been made. One thing that I and our political organization insist is that we can be talking to the people of things that they don't understand. That we have to talk the language of the people, and we have to make trouble too. We have to make work of things, of problems that affect directly the people. That in the case of the student movement, of problems that when the students wake up every morning, they are thinking, how am I going to pay the university? How am I going to pay for the transportation? That kind of problems, you identify them to politicize the students. That these situations respond to these policies, and these policies respond to this class interest, and these parties respond to this class. Why? And you start problematizing that reality and that situation, and that's how we realize that work. But it implies that it demands a lot of sacrifice. It demands that you have to be patient, that you have to wait, that in a moment maybe that the movement will explode, getting to the streets to fight, but you have to be consistent, and you have to persevere. You have to continue doing that work, and to let Rafi talk, like we say, we have to apostar a la gente. We have
bet
to
on the people.
What?
Bet on the people.
Our bet is on the people. Our bet couldn't be in other place. If the movement don't have confidence in the people, then never there's gonna be a fight like the ones we are protagonizing. But we have to bet on the people, because finally the people are the ones that are going to be the actresses and the actors of the fights and struggles that we are doing. But the leaders, we have to bet on that. So that's the road, the path that maybe or have the highest possibilities to prevalence, to prevail when it is cuando has atravesado, when you pass through.
Well, all around the world, we are living a big assault against the workers in many countries. Every country and every place, New York, will have to build his own way. But it's important to share our experience because many things, we have many things in common, and also we have some principles that you have to apply here in Puerto Rico, in China, in India, and every place. Let's talk a little around Wisconsin and Puerto Rico. When you evaluate the struggle of Federación, it's not so similar to Wisconsin. When you study a little the form of struggle of the bureaucratic leadership of some union in Puerto Rico, have a big parallelism. It's very important to develop and struggle in the Capitol Hill. It's important to develop a march. But if you don't fight in the school, that is peanuts. You have to struggle in the school. You have to struggle around the reality of your community, because you can make big march, but that is good, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And what we do as Federación is that we go to march, we can develop joint efforts also with persons and organizations that want to destroy us, and we might enjoy efforts with that organization against law number 7, but the building movement from the base implies that you concentrate a big effort directly in the base of the union or the base of the movement. And in that kind of work, it's important to you understand that in the teachers' movement in Puerto Rico, we have developed a class conscience. We politicize the teachers in open view. Most of the union don't want to.
That's right.
They want to depoliticize her own workers, and that is like to, como you say, castrate the movement, because the workers' movement without ideology is nothing. It's loose. I remember in the teachers' movement, the left caucus was established in 1971. The left caucus in the teachers is older than MST. And we have more than 30 years of work inside of our schools. Falta mucho por hacer. It's a lot to It's a lot to be done, but we have done many things. I want to tell this because you have to be careful, because if you don't have a movement from the bottom, it's very difficult to a union to fight back. If your union work as a business, don't have the capacity to fight back because they don't have the people, the people don't have the confidence, the people don't have a conscience that permits to go forward. And I think that it's a hard way to develop the things, but it's to build a movement from a solid base. Sometimes it's preferable to develop a little slowly, but in a solid base, that to continue building things without.
More or less, that's the kind of what we do back in Puerto Rico.
En la Federación de Maestros hay una agrupación de educadores en Puerto Rico que se llama la Asociación de Maestros. He visto a través de las noticias que hay tiempos donde ustedes trabajan juntos para dirigirse a issues que afectan a todos los maestros, no importa en qué institución de la federación o de la organización. Esa agrupación ahora, ¿están dejando que esos issues que ustedes están trabajando tengan un acoger de todos los maestros? ¿Están trabajando, coordinando donde tienen que coordinar? ¿Cuál es esa relación?
Asociación de Maestros, Teacher Association, that is affiliated to the NEA.
Oh, the NEA?
In US. Asociación de Maestros is an organization that permits the affiliation of directors and persons from the staff of the Department of Education, supervisors, and also is a political arm of Partido Popular Democrático. They make an alliance with Aníbal Acevedo Vilá to destroy our union, but sometimes we make joint efforts to particular issues. For example, when the October 15 one-day strike was called by AFL-CIO and changed to WIN, or unions that were the unions that want to destroy Federación. But we participate in that strike and we march to the place where they were, because we have to make sometimes some joint efforts, particularly with a fascist law like law number 7. It's a convergence point, but we are not joined because we have different point of view, different composition, different class vision. But it's important your commentary also because this PPD, Partido Popular Democrático, when is the pro-statehood government, the PPD moved as the Democratic party here. More to the left, okay, left from here, student movement, that's okay. But when they go to power, are worse. And that is important also because the political system in Puerto Rico is very similar to the US system, and one of the things that we work a lot in our members is that the structure that developed the governmental mechanism to oppress our people are the parties. And the people is supporting the party. They vote and participate. And when you see who is the director, when you see who is the person in charge of the region or the Department of Education, all of that people is structured by the party. And you as a worker are supporting the structure that is going to oppress you in the next round. And it's important because in US, you also have that problem. That most of the workers don't see that the mechanism, the particular mechanism to develop all the machinery of the government that oppress us is created by the parties.
It's the whole concept of school councils and your effort of the FMPR to develop and fight for and participate in a democratic decision-making process for the schools, and which includes real empowerment for students and parents and base level teachers. So if you could explain that a little to people, they might understand that vehicle.
Very easy. Quick. The government, the Department of Education says that we have to empower the people. You want to empower the people? Okay. We work to empower the people in realidad, as they say.
In reality.
In reality. Not a show, a reality.
That's right.
And for that reason, we developed special committees in the schools, and that committee developed with the participation of parents, the organization of the school, what we will teach, at what hours, what classes we need to maintain the student, or to develop a more attractive curriculum. And we call that the organization committee of the school. And in Puerto Rico, Federation wants to develop his work also in the educational area with joint effort with parents. Sometimes it's not easy because you have to fight with parents and also you have to fight with your own members. But the union push in that direction, and some schools develop that movement. For the government, that was horrible because they want empowerment as a fake,
Right.
not a real empowerment. And the movement of charters in Puerto Rico is a movement directly to destroy the real power of the people in the joint committees with parents, with teachers, in secondary with students also. And also we have some directors that support that, a little bit. Some of them also want to support that kind of joint effort. And I think that privatization means for us the destruction of the possibility of the development of, how do you say in English, comunidades de aprendizaje? Learning communities. A little, for example, for us, we rechazamos, how do you say? Reject the principle that the ideology that the students are first, and the reason of the school are students. No, the reason of the schools are students, parents, cafeteria workers, everybody is important. Not the student, everybody. Because that is a mechanism that use the repression of the staff to destroy our rights for the wealth of the children. That is, but what I want to tell you is that we fight for a real empowerment, but the reality is that that is the correct way, but that is the way that the charters and privatizers don't.
They don't do that.
You're from different camps. You're the students and you're the representatives of teachers. So do you work, or have you worked together in your struggles, or have you worked separately? And you've been decertified, right? Is that right? We need to decertify our union. They don't represent us, and it goes on and on. I'm not going to go into all those details, but how do you do that with still having a community base. Our community bases are not respected, except among ourselves, by any government groups. I mean, I've seen these organizations meeting on a regular basis, and the panels from the Department of Education remaining silent on the stage, saying nothing, and completely ignoring what the parents have to say. Not even acknowledging their physical presence at the microphone. So the level of disregard for the people who would serve them, the parents.
We are working against the government. We have to debate between our own people. The teachers in Puerto Rico are not the ideal teachers, and the parents are not the ideal, also the students. And we have to develop a struggle inside our own files, because the ideology that is in the society is against a collective view, against the solidarity principle, and we have to develop those. We make joint efforts with the students in UPR. I think that we make a little. We have to do more. But sometimes you do what you can.
That's right.
But we work together. As he said, many of the strikers today in the University of Puerto Rico were students in high school when we developed our strike in 2008, and they learned. Some of the leaders also, they were temporary teachers and participated in this program. I think that we have a symbiotic relation between the struggle of this UPR and the struggle of the teachers in our schools. But we have many problems, many difficulties. And sometimes the teacher says, why you are in the UPR, that is the struggle, that is not our struggle. It's difficult. It's important for the leadership in our view, the leader of a union, or the leadership of the union, don't reflect strictly what the people think. Yes, it's important what the people think, but we have to push the people for something better. Because our role is to be proactive and to move the people to a higher level of conscience. You cannot, you cannot pull a rope so hard that broke and you lose the cow or the horse. You have to push. Not so hard to break the rope, but you have to push it to move from the easy way. How we develop in our students the confidence or the struggle in joint efforts with parents, how we get respect from the Department of Education. Well, we have many little struggles for many years. For example, you are a special education teacher, you don't have a classroom, and then we move to parents and to children and to community. Okay, we will stop Monday the school and we call the class. And we make an issue. And that go to the radio, television, and we have many little struggles that push the government, and the government is afraid of the community. They have a little afraid to teach it, but they have a lot of afraid of the organization of the community, many voters. And what we have is that we develop many little struggles in the school to push the interests of the community. And in a long time, the people said, well, the teachers are fighting not only for the salaries, they are also fighting because they want books for my son, or they want something better for my daughter. But it's a very difficult process because in that process you have to change also the teachers. For example, when we were preparing our movement to the strike of 2008, we told to the teachers, you can give flyers, but if the mother goes to your room, to classroom, and you don't you don't
Address.
and you don't respond to the demand of that parents, the flyer is nothing. They have, some parents have critics about our work. We have criticism of how he's as a parent, but you have to hear him and he have to learn to hear you. But if you don't make a real relationship between human beings, the flyer and the propaganda is nothing. We develop with many difficulties and deficiencies that kind of joint effort, because we are fighting every day and in many schools. Little fights, but maybe make the difference. As we say, Roma no se hizo en un día.
Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day.
I got a question. The question is that in the 2008 strike, I was following with WAPA, I got into Centro, and I read in the paper and also in the news that during the administration of Acevedo Vila was trying to make a deal to the certified federation and made a deal with 1199 to take over. Is that was true?
Remember, we developed our strike between February of 2008. The strike was extraordinary. I think that we won the strike. We don't want a contract, but we won the strike. And we won the confidence of the people. Also salaries, higher salaries, and our tenures were secured. And that is important. And stop the charges. But, when two fighters go to the ring, somebody wins, but also have to go to the hospital to make a check. You win the fight, but you see some you receive many punches. And in that moment, SIE, Dennis Rivera, make a movement with Aníbal Acevedo Vila to support Aníbal, and Aníbal support association that teacher association that make an affiliation deal with SNU. And that was very difficult because the little energy that we have in that moment, we have to spend it to protegernos, to protect against another union. And that was very difficult. I want to say that I know 3 locals of SNU that support us in the conflict. And that is a reason in SNU to banner that direction, the direction that support us. And they take his own risk. In San Francisco was one of them. Not only people support the action of Dennis Rivera, but was very difficult for us to develop the resistance against that. And later, when law number 7 comes, I talk about the strike of 2009, October 15th, and we moved 10,000 of people to the meeting that was supported by SNU, and especially by the sector that attacked us after this strike. For our members, they don't want it to go, but we push and we go. And what's important, because many of the workers of that union said, wow, Federación is great, it's supporting us. And a few months ago, we were working to destroy him. And that is important, because we developed our one-day strike in last August 26, something between 16 to 18 workers that don't teachers, workers that are members of that unions go to the strike with us. And his own leadership don't want the people to move, and they move. But sometimes you have to swallow a hard rock, but you have to do it because the wheel continues.
Okay, one more question. ¿Tienen comentarios acerca de lo que viene?
Yo tengo un comentario y una pregunta para...
Sí, porque te iba a reconocer para que diera el itinerario.
Bueno, ¿puedo hacer las dos cosas? Bueno.
Ok, queremos terminar. ¿Quién más tiene preguntas?
Yo.
Ok, háganlas breve. Ya, las personas que hicieron preguntas, vamos a hacerla breve, ok, porque tenemos... Los compañeros llegaron hoy, deben descansar porque tienen...
Se tienen que ir con él.
Ok, pues. Quiero que clarifiques esto en particular, Rafi, porque dices que ¿cómo se dice? El movimiento laboral, sindical, no tiene contenido político o ideología, pero yo creo
que
bueno,
sin
el
contenido, the labor movement.
Okay. All right. So my point was in terms of the political content of labor.
The labor movement needs an ideology.
Right.
And it's very important that inside of the labor movement, the people with the ideology of the working class
okay.
develop the
That's my point. That's my point is that we do have our union, with some of us are teachers here, has an ideology, and it's the No Child Left Behind, it's the race to the top. So that's why I wanted to clarify, because they do have political content.
All right.
The right wing, and when I had the privilege of seeing you talk to the Rio Piedras region, district, you gave them political ideology. You gave them a lesson in Marxist social, political, economic situation, so which is a class ideology. And what's missing here is that we have the Democratic Party, Republican Party ideology, which was stripped back in the 30s and 40s in the McCarthy era, and then the purges that the unions themselves did. We lost all that, so we were like, trancao and all this thing. And then some of us are organizing in our communities, and we don't even have a union that's talking about charters being private. You know what I'm saying? So that we're getting this thing that they're public schools. And even the union has 2 charter schools, and they support here in the Bronx charter schools. And then we have all the Latino and Black Democratic politicians. I can't find any Latino one that supports charters, because again, there's a lot of the opportunist politics involved. So that's what I'm saying, so that there is something about both of you injecting a socialist ideology, and you have a history in Puerto Rico of a socialist movement. Here in New York, we have been raped and stripped of that. So that's another job. Anyway, sorry.
But what happened is that I have a little of difficulty with the language, but also we are in a different context. When I tell that we need to put a content to the work of the union, it's basically that for us, the socialist ideology that, you know, we have many branches and it's very complex, it's not aligned, but the ideology of the working people have to be there, because if we don't do that, the other ideology of the ruling class will predominate inside our own movement.
Right.
And what,
Like racism, right?
what I want to say is that in many unions in Puerto Rico, I think also that in US, the leadership said, no, you don't mezclar, mix politics here. We are not politics. And that is a kind of politics.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reproduction of the same way of the things. And what I want to tell is that it's important the socialists were inside the unions, are very important. What kind of socialist tendency? You have many. But when we talk about socialism, we are talking of in an open way. It's not in a special particular tendency. It's nosotros decimos un socialismo libertario.
Canalizing the energy and the wills of the high school students to fight against a lot of policies that are just, like he was saying, a lot of the actual students of the university students movement were students in high school when the teachers striked in 2008. But before and after that, like Rafi was telling, in basically all the island, there are strikes almost every day, of 1 day, 2 days, and the students play an important role in some of the strikes. I think that we have a challenge now to see how we can organize and politicize the high school students. In the Socialist Youth Union, we have been celebrating some summer camps for the last couple of years, and each year the quantity of high school students participating in the same have been increasing considerable. These students have participated in some activities at the university and participate in some activities of the Federación de Maestros. I think that the challenge is how we can establish an organization of students from high school so they can propose their demands, because the students have some demands that not necessarily are the same of the teacher and not necessarily are the same of the students of the university. I don't have no doubt that they want to fight because they have been doing it, but how they can make that step, that quality step, the superior step, so they can centralize or they can coordinate the struggles they have been realizing in different schools. For example, in a school in Sidra, a group of students participated and protagonized a strike that was like 2 weeks?
Yeah,
2 or 3 weeks, and that was a strike of students, of high school students this year, Some members of our organization visit the school. Some of the students participate in the, I don't know if you are aware of Radio Huelga, that is a radio of the student movement through the internet, and they participate in our program there. So there are some efforts, maybe a little ones, but efforts at least to see how we can organize those students, because there's a difference when the students start participating in political activity since high school, when they enter college or go to the university, or maybe don't go to the university but go there to work. You have an 18, 19-year person that has some conscience. You have an advantage. So we're trying to see how we can elevate the organization level in that area. But that's, yo creo que no vamos a hablar español, ¿no? El reto estriba precisamente en cómo poder canalizar la energía y ganas que tienen los estudiantes de escuela superior a través de algún organismo que sirva de instrumento de lucha para poder recoger sus demandas. Claro, los estudiantes de escuela superior tienen unas particularidades que dificultan considerablemente el que se puedan coordinar esfuerzos de estudiantes, por ejemplo, de distintos sectores del país. La transportación, pues, menores, etcétera, etcétera. Pero yo creo que en la medida en que las distintas luchas sociales en el país se vayan incrementando, tanto del sector magisterial como del movimiento estudiantil en la universidad, no me cabe la menor duda que esos esfuerzos se van a poder ir corrigiendo, y que no dudo que va a tarde o temprano a surgir algún organismo que pueda recoger el malestar que sí existe, la indignación que existe entre este sector, y que puedan entonces despuntar como un sector adicional al proceso de lucha. Y algo por último rapidito, que trajeron a colación los compañeros que tuvieron que irse, sobre los esfuerzos que se han intentado realizar entre el magisterio y el movimiento estudiantil, pues quería comentar que sí se han hecho.
Vaya, aquí estamos en el tren.
En México.
En México.
Gracias.